I'm gonna teach you in roughly the next 4.5 minutes how to edit the future. And the way I'm gonna do that is by summarizing the last 45-minute keynote that I just facilitated at the Association of Experiential Education and beautifully graphically illustrated here. And so right from the very beginning, don't do much without getting hyper clear about your intent. If you want to recruit people into a future that you want to create, you better get hyper crystal clear about your intent, make sure it includes the needs of the other, and then communicate that intent with them so that they can say, yeah, consent to that future, I'm in, right? Or they can say no. If you want people to play a game with you, you have to invite them to say yes or no. You can't and shouldn't make somebody do anything. Many, many moons ago, I met a woman who was triple my age, all white hair, and she introduced herself as a professional storyteller. And I asked her, what's your best idea to tell really phenomenal stories? And she said, without skipping a beat, I got it. All you gotta do is know the first thing that you're gonna say and the last thing that you're gonna say. And then she said, and fill in the middle with the truth. And so I didn't know what I was gonna say throughout the whole thing, but I knew right in the very beginning, I wanted to say a choice of words is often a choice of worlds. And so as the unofficial start, as people were rolling in, I invited people, there's 1,200 cards scattered all around, and I invited people to choose a word that they wanted to use as a focus or a lens for the next 3 days. A choice of words is often a choice of worlds. I then said, words are lovely, right? How many of you like Reese's? Yeah, right? I'm gonna do something very painful. What if we took peanut butter out of the Reese's? And everybody cringed. Right, so it's like generosity is great, but if you collide it with joy and you think about how can I be generous and bring joy into that process, this is much better together than it is alone. And so we did an exercise called word collisions where I invited a bunch of separate individual me's to go silently roam around and pair up and find their match, find their Reese's. So find two words that blended together and that felt like, oh my goodness, if we combine these, who knows what's possible. And then I think I got this idea from Michael Bungay Sr., the author of The Coaching Habit, this concept of a strategic selfie. So what about taking a selfie is like a very egocentric, present, no idea what you're gonna do with that, and probably they just live on your hard drive forever and go to nothing. But Michael Bungay Sr. says, what if you took a selfie with the thought that 30 years from now, you might have become best friends with this person, or you might know them, or they maybe went off and became a famous author or a YouTuber, and you have this selfie from 30 years back from when you were just ordinary human beings. And so I had everybody pull out the technology in a really present state and take that picture. And then I drop people into the idea that very much on the back of these cards, the questions that we ask are quite literally edit buttons to the future. So when I ask Steven behind the camera, let's show Steven. This is gonna be,
you got it.
This is gonna be so intense.
Oh my gosh.
This is gonna be so intense.
So
is it even possible? You're not even ready for this.
I think it's probably good.
Good enough. Here's blurry Steven. So if I ask Steven any question, it literally changes the words that come out of his mouth in that moment. And so I'm editing the future in the near term, but also depending on the question, if I ask him, what's a way that you'd like to pay it forward in life? Or what's a realization, recent realization you've had about yourself? Or what brings you joy? What I'm doing is inviting Steven to come up and manufacture new ideas or pull from what is important in his life and bring it into the present moment. And when we have awareness, we have choice about which direction to go. And so once Steven has some choice, he actually might begin to edit his future past just those 2 minutes. And then here, because this was a session with the Association of Experiential Education, the expertise on the other side of the stage was way greater than what I've got locked up in my brain. And so I turned it on to them and said, hey, you all are getting a deck of these future focused We Connect cards. You got a handful of minutes with your group, come up with ideas and ways that you would use these with your group in your context. For me, it's the ultimate practice of what I call the contribution method, which is to assume that your group has way more to offer than you could possibly give them. And so you just give them the floor and the space to contribute something hyper relevant and meaningful to them. And then lastly, I bring you all the way down to a closing debrief question. If you want to edit the future, I have one of my friends and mentors, Mark Collard, once said that without reflection, no real learning can occur. And so this question, snatched up from my other mentor, Peter Block, what struck you? Or what did you notice? What struck you about the last 45 minutes? Every single group leader should have this question in their back pocket. What struck you about, fill in whatever just happened, and what happens is the group starts to reflect back, not the content of what they were saying, but the process that they just went through. And it brings what is private small group culture and makes it shared at scale amongst a large group. And that is no way that was 4.5 minutes, but that is how to edit the future in summary of a 45-minute session with 500 beautiful experiential educators. Have an awesome day.